Okay, folks, I thought I would share with you today one of my eBay finds. This is a 17-inch iMac that I got from eBay back at the start of this year, and it's an older model. It is a 2006 model, Core Duo T2400 CPU, clocked at 1.83 gigahertz, two 512 megabyte memory sticks for a total of 1 gigabyte of memory. Woohoo, a whopping 1 gigabyte. And no hard drive. And of course, the age of it and the fact that it had no hard drive are the reasons that I got it for so cheap. And this model, being a 2006 model, it's one of the first Macs that ever came out with Intel processors. This was right after Apple switched from PowerPC to Intel. And I figured when I got it, I figured, no problem not having a hard drive. I got an extra 300 gig hard drive I'm not using for anything else anyway. I'll just stick that in there. Now, the first slight problem, though, was not being able to figure out how to open the thing up to put the hard drive in. So I had to do a search on YouTube to find the procedure for it. And it turns out it's not a hard procedure, but it is a little bit tedious, and you have to have special tools for it because you have to have special Torx bit drivers to get the screws out. So I figured, okay, no problem. I'll just go out to Lowe's and I'll buy one of these multi-purpose things here with all the Torx bit drivers that I need. Well, that didn't work. It got the screws out that are external to the case, but the bits are not long enough to reach down through the hole to get to the screws that hold the display in place. So that didn't work. So I figured, okay, got to do something else. So I went to cyberguys.com, and of course, cyberguys.com just has an amazing selection of tools for computer technicians and network technicians. So I found these two tool sets here. I found the orange one is just a general purpose toolkit with lots of different Torx bits, regular screwdriver bits, Phillips bits, and then the one on the left, the green one, is made especially for Apple products. So I went ahead and ordered both of them, and the one for the Apple products, and it turned out it had just what I needed to be able to get in and get those Torx bits out of that display. And then the next thing I wanted to do was install an operating system, and I have an installation disk for Mac OS X Leopard. I also have an installation disk for Mac OS X Snow Leopard. So I figured I'd start first with the Snow Leopard, and I knew that a lot of these older Macs, you can only upgrade them up to Lion, which is like OS X 10.7, I believe. But, that's still okay because you can still get some modern apps for it, a modern web browser. You can still install a modern version of Firefox and all that. So I figured that'd be no problem. But, and of course, OS X Leopard, OS X Snow Leopard, rather, the 10.6, is the latest version that, for which Apple released an actual installation disk. So I had that installation disk, and I figured I'd install the Snow Leopard, the 10.6, and upgrade it to Lion. And if I could upgrade it to anything past that, fine. And if not, that'd be fine too. Well, come to find out, the OS X Snow Leopard, the 10.6, would not install on this machine. So I pulled out this OS X Leopard disk, the 10.5, and the 10.5, of course, is the newest version of OS X that you can put on an old PowerPC Mac. So I installed that, and it installed just fine. But then I decided, well, I'll see if I can do an in-place upgrade to 10.6. No, it would not let me do it. Well, the problem I found out is that Core Duo processor is a 32-bit processor, and I did not know that. So you've got the Core Duo processors, and you've got the Core 2 Duo processor. Core Duo is 32-bit, Core 2 Duo is 64-bit. So 10.6 Snow Leopard requires a 64-bit processor to install. So I said, okay, now that kind of sucks, right? And if it had been an old PC Mac, I mean, this is the ironic part. OS X Leopard on an old Power PC Mac, it's okay because there is a group of developers who created something called 10.4 Fox, which is a browser that's built from recent Firefox source code. And so if you have an old Power PC Mac with Mac OS X Leopard, you can get an up-to-date browser to install on that system, and you can go in and you can go to YouTube and watch your YouTube videos. You can check your email, play around on Facebook, anything you want you can do with that 10.4 Fox on an old Power PC Mac with the old OS X Leopard. So that's kind of ironic because you don't have that option for an Intel-based Mac that is running a 32-bit processor, right? You can install the OS X Leopard on it, but you don't have any type of up-to-date browser that you can install on it. So I said, okay, this is no good, so I decided I needed to do something else. So what I did, oh yeah, and I need to point out too, when you're dealing with these old iMacs, it's kind of problematic to get them to boot up on something else besides the hard drive until you figure it out. You got to do a Google search, and that's or at least that's what I did. I just did a Google search to find out how to do that, and it turns out you got to hold down this Option key while the thing is booting, and that will bring up a boot menu. And so when I did that, I figured, okay, I'll try to boot off of the installation disk that I stuck in the internal optical drive, and no go. It just would not do it. I mean, I'd power the thing up, hold down the Option key, and the thing would just immediately eject that disk. So what I finally figured out that I needed to do was to boot from a USB device. And as I recall, and it's been several months ago since I installed the operating system on this, as I recalled, or actually for the OS X, I just used my little portable USB optical drive, just plugged that into the USB port and then held down the Option key to boot off of that, and that worked fine. Okay, but then I started to tell you about something else, kind of getting ahead of myself. But anyway, that's what I did to boot off the OS X install CD. All right. So anyway, once I figured out that the OS X was not going to be an option on this machine, I decided to look for something else. I decided that I would install a lightweight Linux distro. So I did a little research, and I found probably the lightest weight distro possible was this AntiX Linux. And AntiX, it's built from Debian, and it's actually kind of a sub-project of the Mepis distro, which is also built from Debian. But I figured I'll go ahead and give it a try. I downloaded the 32-bit version of it and installed it, and I was absolutely amazed at the results. And this is the screenshot of it. And I apologize I'm not able to give you the live demo on that machine, but I tried to install the Open Broadcaster software on it, and unfortunately there's no actual Debian package for the Open Broadcaster software, so I tried to build it from source code. It didn't work, so didn't mess with it. So I just took a couple screenshots here, and you can see over here on the right hand side of the screen, you can see RAM there. Usage is 112 megabytes. Well, the only reason it's using that much memory right now is because I opened up my K snapshot to take the screenshots. But when you first boot this up, this is going to be showing something like about 90 megabytes or so of memory usage. So it is extremely lightweight. The desktop environment here is IceWM. Very, very nice, simple, elegant desktop environment. No bells and whistles at all, which is actually what I like. I don't like the fancy desktop environments, the GNOME 3, the KDE, all that. To me, they just got more stuff on them than what I need. So I just want something nice and simple with a nice, easy to navigate menu, and this IceWM desktop has it. And it's lightweight on top of that. So there's what it looks like here with the menu opened up. And you also see there in my terminal window, you see that I have Dropbox installed. And so, yeah, you can go to install Dropbox, just get the Debian package, just download that and install it. It works just fine. I also did the same thing with the Spider Oak backup software, and it works fine as well. The only slight problem with it is that the Dropbox and the Spider Oak have daemons which are supposed to start automatically when you boot the system, but they don't do that here with this AntiX. And I think the reason why is that official Debian has switched to System D, the System D init process, but the AntiX was created by a guy who is just absolutely anti-System D. So he stripped the System D out of it, and he's gone back to using the old sysv init process. So I think probably what is happening is that the Dropbox and the Spider Oak are looking for that System D, to set up the System D boot up files, and it's not there. So, but that's not a problem. In fact, I actually kind of like it that they're not starting automatically, because with only 1 gig of memory, to me, it's better just to have these shut down until I absolutely need them. So you can see here on this menu over here, I got Dropbox right there and Spider Oak down here. So whenever I want to either do a backup of either my Spider Oak or Dropbox directory, or I want to get them synchronized with the other computers on the network, then I'll just go ahead and open up manually, and it works fine. Okay, so anyway, that was AntiX. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, this is actually an older version of AntiX. Well, not real old, it's just the previous version of AntiX, I should say. This is AntiX version 15. And in June of this year, and right now this is October of 2016 that I'm doing this, but in June of this year, they brought out version 16 of AntiX, and I just haven't upgraded this machine yet. But I do want, but still, I just wanted to show it to you. And I forgot to say too that the AntiX Linux on this machine with that Core Duo processor, that low-grade Core Duo processor, and only 1 gigabyte of memory, I'm telling you, this operating system absolutely flies on this machine. I mean, it's never going to be a supercomputer or anything like that, but it has really revived this machine. It has made it absolutely, positively useful. And so, I can pull up my LibreOffice, do my office work. I can pull up my Firefox, watch YouTube videos, pretty much anything I want to do with it, I can do with it with only 1 gig of memory, and it's all due to this Linux distro being so extremely lightweight. So anyway, since I already had that installed, of course, I can't really show you the steps I did to install it. So what I did here is I set up a virtual machine here on VirtualBox on this Fedora computer that I'm running right now. And so I figured I'd kind of walk you through the installation steps. And so first off, I just booted off the ISO image that I downloaded. And you can see there it's the 386 image there. And oh yeah, one thing I forgot to tell you too. One slight little downside to the AntiX is that if you install the 32-bit version on a machine that has 4 gigabyte of memory, then you're only going to be able to access 3.5 gigabyte of it because the AntiX does not come with a PAE kernel. So that's just one little thing to keep in mind there. Okay, but anyway, I figured I'd show you here the installation steps here for installing the new AntiX 16 in the VirtualBox virtual machine. So I booted up off the ISO image, and that's what we got. And you can see over here, it's kind of hard to see, but it's showing RAM there used 55.8 megabytes. Oh, that is extremely light there. But anyway, I clicked on the installer to install it, and I did create this virtual machine and just specified 1 gigabyte of memory because I wanted to have, you know, pretty much the same experience that I have on that iMac with only 1 gigabyte. But anyway, I double clicked on the installer, and that comes up, and the first thing it's going to have you do is choose the Debian repositories that you're going to use. So your choices are the Jessie, which is the Debian version 8, the stable version of it. You also have the testing repositories, and you have the SID unstable repositories. And the SID is going to be for the adventures among you. If you absolutely have to have the cutting edge software, then you go with SID, but it might not be quite as stable as you want it to be. So if you're cautious, if you don't mind having software that's a little bit old, a little bit behind the times, then you just go with the Jessie and the stable, and it'll work fine for you. Okay, so anyway, I clicked OK, and that came up, and I just went ahead and left it on Jessie. And so we got that telling us that it is set to Jessie, and now the installer will run. And so here's the installer. So just click on next. And I just accepted the default partitioning scheme. And in reality, most of the time when I install an operating system on a desktop machine, I just accept the default partitioning scheme because, you know, there's no real point in getting real fancy with partitioning schemes on a desktop computer, you know. So I just accept the default. And yes, I do want to use the entire disk for AntiX Linux. And so we're formatting the root partition. And yes, I do want to install Grub on the master boot record. And this is a little idiosyncrasy with Debian type distros. They always ask you if you want to install the bootloader. And you pretty much always want to choose to install it on the master boot record. Okay, so yes, it is okay to install Grub. And installing Grub. And for demo purposes here, I just left the host name and the computer domain at their default, but you can change them to whatever you want. And all this came up correct automatically, and it automatically detected my time zone, so I did not have to deal with that. And I can set my default user account and my root password. Okay, so there we are. Donnie, hey, that's me. And now we're going to go ahead and continue the installation. Okay, installation is done. Do you want to reboot now? Yes, I do. And the whole process only took a few moments. So it's really good. And oh yeah, something I forgot to tell you too. I did install AntiX on an old IBM with a pair of 32-bit Xeon processors, the old P4 era 32-bit Xeon processors. And that's when I found out that it does not have the PAE kernel, because I had 4 gig of memory installed in that thing, and it only recognized 3.5 gig of it. But it's kind of cute. I had to laugh though. The hard drive in that thing is an old 40 gig drive, one of the things with the big wide 40 pin ribbon cable hooked to it. And when I got to the part about the partitioning, it actually ran a health check on that hard drive, and it gave me the message, hey, this hard drive is like really old, and we're estimating that it could fail within the next year. You might want to install a new hard drive. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cute. But anyway, I chose to reboot, and so now we just got to remove the disk, close the tray, and hit enter to continue. Well, actually, in this case, I just hit enter because the ISO would have automatically been released from VirtualBox anyway. And so we get up to our login screen, right? And so that's what it looks like. That's what the login screen looks like, or rather the desktop looks like on the AntiX 16. And the menu really hasn't changed. It's pretty much all the same. And you do have your standard Debian package manager on it, the Synaptic Package Manager, which works fine. And that's it. That's it for that presentation. And so over here we have, there is my virtual machine. I apologize for it being so small. It's just that one little idiosyncrasy with VirtualBox is that when you install a Debian type of operating system, you have to jump through the hoops to install some packages, from that you get from the VirtualBox site in order to get your resolution up higher. So right now, 800 by 600 without those packages, 800 by 600 is as high as I can go. But anyway, that's what it looks like. But I can pull up here, open up the terminal. One pleasant little surprise, which I did not count on, is if I do the groups command like this, you'll see there that I'm already in the sudo group, even though there was nothing in the installer which had me make myself an administrator. It automatically put me into the sudo group, so I already have sudo privileges. So I can just do this. And I am already set up, already ready to go with my with my sudo privileges there. Okay, so it's really great. I mean, it's the whole thing with the AntiX. It's been nothing but a completely positive experience. I absolutely love it, and I'm telling you, if you got an old computer, a really old computer that you need to bring back to life, then AntiX Linux will do the trick for you. I'm telling you. Okay, one little catch though, I should mention as well. A lot of other distros, they do have a daemon running, which will automatically check for updates for you, and AntiX does not. So you will need to manually check for updates. Okay, and you see here, this is the first time I've ever run the apt-get update and dist upgrade on it. So I've got quite a few updates there, but that's fine. But anyway, and that's okay too. I got no problem with just on occasion checking for updates myself. I got no problem with that at all. So, but overall, as I said, my experience with AntiX Linux has been nothing but positive. Absolutely great little distro, and I highly recommend it. If you got an old piece of hardware you want to bring back to life, AntiX Linux will definitely do the trick for you. Okay? So anyway, that then is all I got. If you like my videos, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and we hope to see you around next time.